This is the Investing News Network. I'm Georgia Williams, and we're here at day 2 of PDAC in Toronto. Joining me today is Gary Thompson, Chairman, CEO, and President and Director of Brixton Metals Corporation. Thanks for joining me today, Gary.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
How has the conference been so far?
It's been extremely busy.
Yeah.
We have regular investor booth and then a core shack as well, so kind of hopping between the two. So it's got to be one of the busiest PDACs on record, I'm assuming. It looks like it.
That's what I was thinking. Sunday had so many people.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's,
Yeah. Can we start with the company's ticker symbol and what exchange you trade on?
Yeah, so it's triple B on the venture, and it's BBBXXF on the OTCQB.
Fabulous. The company is drilling at the Langis project. How does the company expect to release, when do you expect to release some initial results?
Well, we're certainly anticipating some soon. We've been drilling now for about a month there. So, I'd say it's imminent. We're just waiting for those first initial batches to come in. So, we're excited to get back at Langis. And we haven't actually drilled there since 2022.
Right.
And we've got a pretty aggressive plan this year to continue to advance on that project.
Right. And for people that aren't familiar with the company, you're an exploration company focused in Canada and the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about your portfolio aside from Langis?
Yeah, so the company has 4 wholly owned assets. Northwest Montana, called Hog Heaven, which is under option to Ivanhoe Electric, so they're earning into that project, and they're actively drilling on that one. We have a project in Northwest British Columbia called the Atlan Goldfields. Was part of the Yukon Gold Rush in the late 1800s, and we picked up a large block of ground there, really looking for the source of that placer gold, and then we struck a deal with El Dorado Gold, which is now going into their 3rd year on the option, a farm out for us, but they're earning in, and they'll be drilling on that project starting in May. And then so the 2 projects that we're focusing on is Langis, as we talked about, which is a high-grade past producing silver mine, so it's really brownfields. We're still drilling in and around the old workings, trying to find those extensions and trends away from the mine workings. And we have actually a second, a second past producer in the camp called the Hudson Bay. So it's Langis and Hudson Bay are two past producing high grade silver mines, and we're looking to, get enough drilling on those to get them into a resource category. So while they were past producing mines, there's currently no resource, and we want to change that with the price of silver looking like trying to push to $100 again.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting time to be on silver. And then, what's been our main flagship project for many years now is Thorn. Mm-hmm. It's in Northwest British Columbia, and it's a very large scale project, and it's really morphed into what we're starting to recognize as a copper-gold porphyry district. So we've got a number of copper porphyry targets. We've made a couple discoveries last year, and then we also have a couple very large gold targets as well that we're working on. So we're going to be actively drilling there in May. So come May, June, all of our projects are going to be getting drilled on, so that's pretty exciting.
It's a really exciting year for Brixton.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about jurisdiction? With a focus in North America, with Canada and the U.S., it's really important to sort of build up our resource base, as resource nationalism and all these other things sort of come to the forefront.
Yeah, well, I think so. It's very important. And in fact, I always argue that, maybe it's not more of a question like why is not Canada a commodity powerhouse? We have tremendous amount of resources here in Canada, and we can't seem to get out of our way to get these things to market. Yeah. But we continue to make discoveries and explore them, and I think it's very important that we continue to develop our own resources here.
Absolutely. And your shareholders have approved a 10-for-1 share consolidation. Why make that move, and how does it help attract investors in Canada and the U.S. and overseas?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're in an ASX listed company, 1 billion shares is it's not really an issue, but we find in North America, investors are concerned with a large number of share count. To me, it doesn't really matter. You own 10% today, you own 10% tomorrow on a consolidation. But what it does help do is it restricts your float, so you've got a smaller float, and then when you're actually actively drilling, and getting those good results to market, we hope that we would see some share appreciation. Over the last few years, we haven't really seen that, and we contributed some of that to just a large float. Traded a lot of stock, but didn't see much share price appreciation on that. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to do that. And in a rising market we're in now, it's been met positively. So I think we're on the right track there.
Absolutely. And with so much activity underway, what should investors be watching for next from Brixton Metals?
Well, for us, it's going to be, I'd say, for the next, till probably June, July, it's going to be all about silver. And because we're putting a lot of effort, we're probably bringing a second drill into Langis come May. So it's going to be a lot of meters drilled there for silver. And then come May, June, we'll start to see some results from Thorn. So for this year, it's going to be Thorn, Langis, Thorn, Langis, Thorn. A lot of meters, to be drilled this year. So I think it's going to be a pretty news flow heavy year for us. And ultimately, we want to try and get some of these into resource. That's really the goal here.
Absolutely. And you touched on it earlier, but silver is doing great this year. What does that mean for an explorer or a project like yours?
Well, what's interesting, when we acquired the project in 2016, we got it because, Thorn is a seasonal project. We can work there from May till October. And we thought, we needed something to offset that seasonality, which is why we acquired it. Easy access, great infrastructure, low-cost drilling. And now we're thinking, if we had a bit of a change of thinking on it, if we could develop about a 30 million ounce resource there, then we're looking at, maybe we're a 2 to 3 million ounce silver producer. In the world of silver production, that's actually quite meaningful.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be this massive silver mine, but a 2 to 3 million ounce silver producer is actually quite meaningful. So we're starting to think more like that. We also have some tailings there that we're looking at. At $30 silver, it doesn't really make too much sense, but at the current silver prices, we've got some silver sitting in a pile of sand at surface on private patent land. So we're taking a look at that as well to see if we can monetize that.
And tailings is really interesting because it's sort of like an extra bonus to whatever resource you have.
It is. It's easy pickings, really. It's already been processed, and it's just sitting there, and it's just a matter of, we have to quantify it, so we've got to actually do some more work on it just to get what kind of numbers we might see out of it. But, some of the initial numbers were an ounce and a half to 4 ounces per ton in the tailings. Yeah. Because it generated quite high grade as a producer, even though they got good recoveries, they left some there.
Yeah, and that's often what we hear, like they were targeting such a high grade in the past that what's left over is hardly garbage or hardly waste. It's,
it was waste rock, right?
Tailings. Exactly.
Now it's could be quite substantial for us.
Absolutely. Well, what an exciting time for Brixton.
I think so.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm Georgia Williams, and that was Gary Thompson, Chairman, CEO, and President and Director of Brixton Metals Corporation.